We're now turning to Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss of Massachusetts. So, Mr. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We've had actually just Kay Bailey Hutchins, the former U.S. ambassador to NATO, in this program say there should be emergency legislation, humanitarian as well as aid in arms for Ukraine. Is there any move for any emergency action up in Congress?
Thanks for having me on. Good afternoon. I'm going to be on a subcommittee hearing on the Financial Services Committee on sanctions and congressional response literally this afternoon. This will be a line of questioning for us. But the short answer is whatever the president needs to levy unprecedented and massive sanctions, and whatever he needs to hold Russia to account for this unprovoked act of aggression, Congress should equip him with. The Russian president, I believe, has made a historic mistake. He has done more to unite NATO than any actions organic to the West could have. He has inspired a sense of Ukrainian nationhood that will long outlast him. And he has destabilized his own regime at home. And what the West needs to be doing is allowing him to exacerbate that mistake, frankly. We need to be arming the insurgents in Ukraine. We've provided them significant lethal and non-lethal support. That should be expanded and persisted. We need to wage information operations in the Russian homeland to make clear to the Russian people that their president is going to lower their standards of living. And we've got to crush the Russian oil and gas sector. Now more than ever, we must transition to a clean energy economy. It's not just good for the economy. It's not just good for the environment. It's a strategic asset.
Well, crush the oil and gas sector, that sounds very brave. At the same time, that's going to cause some real damage to our own economy, is it not? One that's trying to struggle to recover right now.
Yeah, you'll note I said short, medium, and long term. Short term, it's about arming the insurgents. Medium term, it's about information operations. Long term, it's crushing the Russian oil and gas sector. I agree with you. Can't do it overnight, although the president, with congressional support, has been taking significant actions to cushion the energy volatility as it relates to the American consumer. We've got domestic capacity here in the United States. We've got strong partnership with OPEC and with Saudi Arabia that can offset any decline in Russian exports. And we're working with our European allies who are much more exposed to Russian exports to help them get natural gas in particular from other sources. So we can start to break that reliance on Russian oil and gas, and clearly Nord Stream 2 was a significant marker, but it is a long-term effort.
Do we need to make a choice between, on the one hand, really inflicting substantial pain on President Putin and his regime, perhaps to change his behavior, on the one hand, and the other, really hurting our own economy? Can we have it both ways, that we really inflict pain there and not suffer it ourselves? There are a lot of people asking, including some viewers today, saying there are a lot of exceptions to all these things. In fact, for example, Russia can still sell oil.
Russia can still sell oil. However, these sanctions are unprecedented in how comprehensive and coordinated they are. I'll give you one example. About 70% of their technological imports are going to be cut off. And no, those cannot be backfilled by China. Semiconductors, for example, and critical components for their avionics, marine, and oil and gas extraction sectors are just not going to be available to them. And while overnight that may not be as painful for the typical Moscovian as not being able to use their credit cards, which is also the case, in the medium and long term, that is going to make them a secondary power, and that is going to undermine standards of living and their productivity as an economy. So I think the focus should not be on the hole, but on the donut. These sanctions are going to really bite. However, as I said, they are just one part of a broader portfolio. In 2016, the Kremlin waged information operations in the United States. They tried to undermine our free and fair elections and sow division. It's time that Vladimir Putin got a taste of his own medicine. We should be waging, in coordination with our NATO allies, systemic and organic information operations in Russia that undermines Putin's standing at home.
Congressman, you mentioned the unprecedented unanimity, I think you said, among NATO that President Putin has triggered here, which is a good thing. What degree of unanimity is there among Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill on the response here?
I want to make a distinction between on Capitol Hill and in the broader media ecosystem. On Capitol Hill, there is broad, although not unanimous, support from Republicans and Democrats to stand strong against Vladimir Putin. Now, some of my Republican colleagues are saying that President Biden is somehow weak, which is ironic, given that these were the people defending Trump after his Helsinki performance in 2018, where he lay prostrate in front of Vladimir Putin in a performance that John McCain called disgraceful. So a large dose of irony there. But broadly speaking, in Congress, both sides of the aisle are behind strong actions against Russia. What is not the case is that the far right on cable news is standing behind the president. Tucker Carlson is really acting as a modern day sympathizer to fascism, and it's an embarrassment for the United States.
Okay, it's really a treat to have you with us. It's very helpful. That's Congressman Jack Auchincloss. He is a Democrat representing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.